We'd rather stay stuck than release an issue because we're embarrassed about what we are releasing. Well, today's dreams take us from the point of delaying healing right through to the release. Dreams often use gross symbolism because that is perfect to make the point. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello, welcome everybody. We are so glad you are here and so excited to have another week of talking about some dreams.
We have our 3-day Dream Interpretation Summit, October 10th to 12th. So we would love to see you there. Go to dream-analysis.com/free summit, all one word. That'll give you all the details and the ability to register. All right, Sandy, do you want to just dive straight in?
I do, but I want to remind people they need to sign up for the summit. It is going to be so much fun. There's so much detail that you give when we do those summits. And so I'm looking forward to seeing people there. But yes, I'm ready to dive in. So let's look at our first dream. It's from Karen. And the title is Amy Pushed Her Pee Away. Now that sounds like an interesting title. Let's see what the dream has to say.
I did warn.
Oh, this will be interesting. Okay, here we go. I was in a bedroom full of women who are getting ready for something. And Amy, a friend from high school, but we grew apart after, she was there. She suddenly had to pee really bad, and she sort of commanded the pee to go away. I found this really funny because I could relate to this. What she did was really extreme, though. Suddenly being fit to burst and then demanding the feeling to go away. Obviously, it would come back again, but it gave her more time to keep doing what she was doing. Maybe she was doing her hair. All right, Michael.
All right, so a high school friend and a female. Well, first of all, Karen is working on issues around mom. She's cutting the ties with mom with us. But seeing an old high school friend who is female is exactly the thing we see over and over and over again. And it flags that the dream is about issues tied to mom because we have a woman in the dream representing the feminine side. And then childhood is indicated by the fact that it's a woman you've lost contact with, or the feminine side you've lost contact with from sometime in the past. And then P is about elimination and releasing things. That's the whole point. It's a good thing to do in a dream. So stopping it, commanding it to go away, commanding the feeling to go away is terrible. Never want to do that. Like we see so many dreams. It's such a major issue. We'll see dreams where you're trying to find a bathroom. Frequently, we don't get to use it. But the whole point of many dreams is to sum something up and then get us to release that issue by using a bathroom. But here, she doesn't want to do it. She commands the urge to go away and symbolizing that she's trying to delay or suppress not wanting to eliminate what needs to be cleared. The scene captures the fantasy of having a magical power to switch off uncomfortable feelings. And it kind of mirrors what Karen wants in reality because she wants a break from the hard inner work that she's doing with cutting the ties, even though she will have to push through this later on anyway. Again, linked to mom not dealing with her own issues. So I asked her about that. Like, was that how mom was? Refused to work on herself, let's say. And she said, absolutely. But here's the thing, regardless of whether we see an issue with mom or dad or whatever, and we don't like it, we still copy it or we react to it. So either way, it gets us. And so we see it in the dream, basically showing you, look, you were impacted by this. You've got to do something about it. But the tone is good. I like that she finds it funny and relatable. So it underscores her conscious recognition of the pattern, and laughing at it is also kind of healing in the dream. But basically, the dream is encouraging her to let the feelings or elimination process happen rather than tighten control, because control only postpones the necessary release, and repeating mom's patterns keeps Karen stuck.
Wow, that was really good. That was a lot of detail from like a 4-line dream. Anything to do with doing her hair?
Yeah, the hair is to do with changing how you think, fixing old thought patterns, that kind of thing. So again, positive. But she just says, maybe that's what she was doing.
Okay, interesting. Wow, that was really good. Well, let's move on to the next dream and see where this one's going to take us. It's from Kathy. The enormous, complex building where I walk around alone. Now that seems kind of sad. walking around alone in an enormous complex building. Let's see what she has to say. I entered a large building with Stacy, a good friend from the academy who I hardly see anymore. There is a huge party. She has our tickets, three small slips of paper with numbers on them. For fun, we tear mine in half, but we're still allowed inside. Inside, it's huge. It has a kind of wellness-like atmosphere. Everywhere there are waiters cleaning up and tidying. There are many staircases and the lighting is dim. There's all sorts of spaces, including a space to dance. Somewhere up on the gallery, there's a group of people wearing purple clothes. They hear a song that they like. I think Hey Ya by Outkast. The song belongs to their tribe, and they consider going downstairs to dance to it. All right, Michael, this is a long dream, so let's see what you have to say about the first part.
Okay. So again, Kathy is cutting the ties with her mom. She's already a good bit into the process. And we know that. We can tell that from the dream. First of all, one thing that always shows up when you're working on yourself is you see the hard issues being pointed out. Most of the time, our dreams are saying, please, 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 look, you do have an issue. You think you don't. Please look at it. You got to do something. But when we're in the process and doing it well, regardless of the therapy, our dreams are going to show us what's being healed. So here we have her, a good friend from the academy who she doesn't see much anymore. So again, it's a bit like the last dreamer where she's getting in touch with the feminine. That's what we expect when we're working on mom. And she's going into a spa, like a healing place. So that's really perfect. The huge spa and wellness complex signals an active healing environment. And then going in with Stacey, an old friend, brings it back in time for her and also connects it to mom because we have a woman in the dream. The dim lighting means that work is still partly subconscious, let's say, but it's still ongoing. So we know she's not finished with the process at this point. Then we have the tickets on the door. That's all about her welcome. You know, when we have issues with mom, it tends to be that mom didn't love us. We didn't feel welcome. We don't feel that we really are part of her tribe. Like she uses the word tribe. Like I'm an outcast. Sad, really. But this is the common theme that we see many, many times on the show over and over. But tearing the ticket and still getting in is good. And later on, we see the entry desk vanishes. I know she doesn't mention one here, but she'll say it later on. And that shows the repair of I'm not allowed or not welcome. And it's good, you know, they don't even check her ticket. It's basically saying, like, come on, you're okay. Then we have the Purple Tribe. This is about spiritual leadership. She has that gift and it's stirring within her. And hearing their song and considering going down to the dance floor is a super, super positive symbol. It's her leadership waking up. I don't know if they actually do go down to the dance floor in this dream. She doesn't say it at any point. But moving from the balcony down, so that a balcony would be observing. I'm looking at life. That's typically the issue we have when we have issues with mom, that we stay back and look at life from a distance. So moving down is about getting into the heart, going from your head into your heart. And getting out on the dance floor and dancing is about expressing your feminine side, because we assume it would be women in the dream. But that's the first part.
Yeah, so what is the song like belongs to their tribe?
Well, this is the issue that people have when they don't feel welcomed by mom. It's like, am I in the right family? Am I on the right planet? And you have that sense all the way through life. Even when you're with your friends, you feel a bit like an outcast, but you get very good at hiding it. So others don't know that that's how you feel, but it shows up in dreams. And then when you talk to the person, they're like, oh my God, how did you know that?
That's cool. All righty, here comes another interesting part. Are you ready, Michael? Hold on to your seat.
I warned you about these symbols.
I know. I poop somewhere in a toilet. There's toilet paper and other papers for your hands everywhere. I wipe myself quickly, but I'm not completely sure I'm clean. On another gallery, there are people in white bathrobes. For some, it's caught between their buttocks. I walk with my bicycle and I'm wearing a mustard colored top. A woman says I look so beautiful. I think she also smells me. She asks if I'm something special. And I say, no, these are just my clothes. She thinks that's wonderful. Okay, Michael. Let's hear what you have to say.
So the toilet scene is still about elimination in progress. And she uses the toilet, unlike the last dreamers. So she uses this. That's good. but she's unsure if she's clean. So the release is happening, but some residue still remains. And it's a gross symbol, but it still is about I'm working on myself and I'm clearing messy issues from the past, but I haven't quite completed the task. It's nothing to do with elimination, physical elimination. It just is psychological. And then we have the white bathrobes. They're caught. So white is about being perfectionist or judgmental or hard on yourself. And they're caught on the back of the person. So she's hard on herself from the past. That's how she was. And then the compliment, that's a huge thing. The stranger compliments her and her denial is the issue. She's been told she's special and she says, oh no, this is just my clothes. But the dream really is confronting her reflex to downplay the fact that she's special.
Mm. And then she's got a mustard colored top. What's up with mustard color?
So it's mustard on the chest area. She's working around mom. So it's eliminating fears to do with expressing how she feels. Yellow is about the intellect. So we see the balcony, we see movement down. So it's conflict between the head and the heart. She feels safe when she's up in her head thinking about things. She doesn't feel safe when she gets close to her heart. And it's just kind of reflected nicely by the single color top.
Very interesting. Okay. Meanwhile, I keep going in and out through the front door. I ask one of the waiters if I'm allowed back in. Before he answers, he says, wait a second, and first sits down his tray with a cup of cappuccino. I tell him I no longer have a ticket because I came in with someone else. He says I can just go back inside. Later, it seems the entire entry desk has gone away and everything is simply open. I can now walk in and out freely. Ooh, that's good.
Absolutely. I said earlier we would see the entry desk vanishing. Working on the heart, we want openness and we see it here. Also, this is all tied to her not feeling welcome by mom at the start of life. That's what coming in the door right at the start of the dream is about. But the main thing is she's told that she can come in anytime. And that's the nicest welcome you'll ever get from anyone. You're welcome across my door anytime. So very healing. Repeatedly walking in and out rehearses the self-permission. So it's a way in a dream to really push the healing. Very good.
Excellent. What's the cup of cappuccino?
So she's a healer. We see that in some of her other dreams, and we'll see it later on in this one. So a waiter serving food or drink is about healing. And she's worked on dad prior to this, some time ago, not too long ago, not within the year. So we're going to see masculine and feminine coming up in the dream. And I'll talk a bit about that later on. But she's using her own healing ability, her own gift in her dream to help heal herself.
That's cool. Okay, let's continue. Everywhere there's a lot of music, but I don't really feel like all the noise. I follow Stacy up a marble staircase. Everything inside is so beautiful. There are so many floors, rooms, and people. Then I'm in a place a bit away from the main party. I stand behind some men and see them drumming on a large drum with a big sticks. They are just finishing, which I find a pity because I like this music. They were big men in ritual clothing, some with very large hands. All right.
Okay. So the hands are about her hands-on healing ability as well. I didn't mention at the start because she talks about parties, but parties are always about birth. So this is healing for her birth, let's say, the whole point of this. So drums are about the heart and they're beating sticks on the drum. So we see the masculine with the sticks and the heart with the drum. And again, with the hands being emphasized, it's healing for issues with the heart. So the masculine is helping at this point. It doesn't all the way in the dream, but for the most part, it does. She's receiving the healing and it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Very positive.
Excellent. Okay, let's continue. Someone comes walking up. I think a man and maybe a woman, question mark. The man carries in his hand a pink-red ceramic vase which might have once been a square, but now it's folded into a diamond shape. Inside the vase is a very young kitten. The big man looks at the kitten, and the man speaks with wonder about how incredibly cute this is and how special the combination of a vase with the sweet kitten is. One of the men, the biggest and clumsiest, keeps making gestures with his hand that really frightened the kitten. He may not be doing it on purpose, but it is very scary.
All right. So I don't really want to go into too much detail on this part, but Uh, it's about the integration of masculine and feminine. She already worked on dad at one point and now is working on mom. Sometimes the release of an issue is blocked by the second parent. So she worked on dad, but not all the release could happen. It's kind of like if I want to get out a sheet of paper and somebody's sitting on it, I can't get to it until that person moves out of the way. And so you do all the work, but you don't get to pick the paper up and throw it in the garbage. So when you finally do the work on mom, in her case, we can see both the feminine and the masculine being healed.
Cool. Okay, what's the pink red ceramic vase?
The vase is a womb symbol. The kitten is her as a young child. This is the part I said I didn't want to go into, but we may do one of her dreams in the next scene, and we're going to see more of this. But really, the integration of masculine and feminine is what I wanted to focus on for this piece.
Okay. Someone says it was a pity that the drum concert is finished and that they didn't play in the main hall, but only here in this hidden corner. Hardly anyone saw it. Honestly, I rather liked the hidden corner. Someone else says that the Islamic men have it much better organized. They were far more advanced and they performed in the main hall.
All right. So the hidden corner versus the main hall is all about bringing the heart forward. The drumming is hidden in the corner. So she even says that she liked that it was in that kind of hidden corner. So she likes to hide herself and she needs to stop that. She needs to move from the shadows. In other words, let people see who she is. So move from the shadows, share her feelings on the main stage.
So, Michael, what does the Islamic men mean?
What it really means in this dream is the successful organization that the Islamic men have. Like they exert their dominance no matter where they go. And it's basically showing her that her head is dominant in all aspects. It's not about the religious side of anything. And she needs to overcome that. So she needs to displace that strong masculine and put her heart in that place.
Ooh, that's beautiful. All righty, let's continue on. Through another higher exit, I walk outside. There are all sorts of people here too, and I'm looking for a place where John is staying. John is an old housemate from long ago. He really went downhill badly, but I recently ran into him again, and he's finally doing better, which is great. He must have a tent somewhere, but I don't see it. There's a music speaker somewhere, and someone says that this is the place where he stays.
So this
All right,
is
Michael.
John improving as the masculine is improving. But looking for John, who'd gone downhill, but hearing he's doing better, mirrors the masculine energy improving as the feminine heals. She's not really to switch to working on dad again or working on the masculine, but we have kind of an entanglement, like I was saying before. When we work on one parent, some of the things are kind of held up till we work on the second one, because women tend to be more feminine, men tend to be more masculine, but we all have both energies. So mom can affect both energies. And that entanglement means that we can't fully heal the masculine till we work on mom. So we see that happening in this dream. So what they want her to do is just keep working on mom, ignore the positives that we see in the masculine in the dream. But it is positive to see that creeping in. By the time you finish working on a particular parent, they stop showing up. So women will stop showing up or men will stop showing up if you're working on dad. And it's always something we're looking for. We need to see it.
But in this case, she can't completely clear the issues with dad because she's got to finish mom.
Well,
Is that what the dream is saying?
We see it's already happening because she's worked on dad from the past. So she's getting the benefit now, a double benefit. Like it's almost like she's working on both parents.
All righty. That was very interesting and had some very interesting symbols in it, Michael. Let's continue on. So this next dream is from Karen and it's called Playing in Holy Water. Now, is that the same Karen as the Karen we had above?
It is indeed.
All righty, cool. That's good to know. Right. So let's see what Karen's up to. Someone posted pictures of their baby girl being in a church. Looked like it was getting ready for a baptism/christening, but it was wrapped in a blanket. Someone said Preciosa. I understood this was in Peru. I noticed the baby had a long nose with a dark birthmark covering the right nostril. The blemish made me feel sorry for it. I remember seeing 3 little stuffed animals that the family was going to let the baby play with in the holy water. Hmm. Using those little toys ensured the baby would get holy water on itself, using them like bath toys. I remember one was a blue octopus, another one was pink.
All right. So we see the birth imprint literally with a birthmark. That's the theme, which is obviously what Karen's working on. So the baby's birthmark on the right nostril symbolizes issues picked up at birth, really perceived damage rather than real damage. The nose is linked to the future. So the summary of this would be, if you're putting it on your list for things to work on, is I was damaged at birth and didn't even know it, or I didn't know how much it would affect my future. The baby is innocent. The pity and worry in the scene reflects other people's projections. Like everyone else is thinking to themselves, oh, she's screwed. And the failure was on the adults or caregivers' part, who should have stepped up, not on the child. And this is to do with the circumstances of the dreamer's birth and how young her mom was when she was born and born out of wedlock. That nonsense and the reaction of the adults around her plays into the birth imprint. That's really the big thing. And the dream reframes early life damage as others' story, while the dream elements actively repair the child part, so her own inner child, to remind her that she is innocent in the whole thing. Preciosa underscores the value or preciousness of her own inner child or herself. And the setting adds kind of like a ceremony or spiritual attention to that child part, especially with the holy water in Peru. Peru is a very spiritual place in her mind because she's been there and had healing ceremonies and so on when she was there. Letting the baby play with the stuffed toys in the holy water is deliberate healing for childhood. The toys are childhood. The bath is all about healing. She's using it like a bath. And then the church and the holy water is spiritual support. She works in the spiritual field, so she's actually working in the right field. We know that from this dream. And then the blue octopus represents the heart and spirituality. Blue is the color of spirituality, with the octopus bringing the heart into it, because an octopus has 3 hearts. And then the pink toy supports the fact that she's working on the feminine and loving herself and issues with mom. So it all fits in beautifully together.
Wow, that's great. And that's the whole dream. Pretty cool. Now, I didn't understand, why is it the issue of the others? Where in the dream did you get that?
I had to channel on that. So,
Okay.
like, a child is born innocent and then issues are projected onto them, like mom's reaction, the caregivers around her, their reaction, her grandmother's reaction because she raised her, and many other things, like nothing to do with the child. It's like mom was a teenager when I was born, and this has seriously impacted me because of the way everybody else was around me, kind of like looking at me and saying, this child is never going to really have a fighting chance and all that sort of stuff, which is not true, but still the projection was on her.
Oh, excellent. All right. This is the next dream from Karen, and it's titled White Loafers in the Water. Later, I dreamt I was swimming in water and pooped my pants and was rinsing it away while old people could see me swimming. I hope they didn't know I'd just done that. There were a lot of shoes on the shoreline. I remember white patent loafers. I was thinking they needed to be out of the water to stay in better condition. Michael, once again, crazy stuff in dreams.
So this is full circle. This is the last dream. Pooping in the water and rinsing it away is good. A sign she's clearing old waste or emotional or negative energy in a spiritual medium, which is the water. And then we
Okay.
have the visibility, like the shame that she feels from people seeing her. So the old people watching, that's linked to mom and elders, the other people around watching. So I want to clear all the poop in my life. We have to stay family friendly, but I don't want anyone to know that I had it. So translation, she wants to heal without the shame of others seeing the mess that she's healing. What else we got? She needs to give herself permission to heal in the public eye. I told her to put on her list, because she's still working with us, I want to be able to work on myself and not be concerned about what other people think about what I'm healing. And that's really important. It's kind of funny. We get to that point usually, regardless of what we heal, we get to a point later on where we're like, I'm okay. If other people know about this, I don't mind sharing it if I think it'll help someone else. But while we're going through it, we're like, this is terrible, because we think we're the only ones with these issues. Then we see concern with her pristine image or perfectionism because they're white loafers. When white is the only color, it's always about being perfectionist. So the white loafers on the shore represent a pristine image. She's trying to keep them dry, so she doesn't want to damage her pristine image. And that's a tendency she's going to have to actively fight. Then we have, well, it's still part of that, the water and the shoes. It's really the core tension. She's meant to be in the water doing spiritual work, even if that means her shoes get wet, and the shoes representing her image. So trying to keep them perfect works against her healing. She needs to just go, to heck with it, I'm just going to do it. But the bottom line is the dream isn't a setback. It's a cleaning cycle. Remember, she started off with somebody not wanting to pee and commanding it to stop. And here we have this happening at the end. So it's really the full cycle, the cleaning cycle, plus a nudge to drop the image management that she has, allow some messiness, and just keep clearing regardless of who sees.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. That's really cool to see the full pattern here.
Yes, it is.
All righty. Well, I think that's all we have time for, everybody. I hope you enjoyed these dreams and get to see the healing that these lovely ladies have gone through. And if you want to do some healing, you know where to go. Right, Michael? You want to let them know?
I do. You just go to dream-analysis.com/Sandy. She can tell you about any of our courses. You can look the courses up at dream-analysis.com/courses. If you're wondering if something is right for you, talk to Sandy. If you don't know what courses we have, don't book Sandy. That's not the point of it. We like to talk to you before you would ever join any of our programs, because we can tell you how useful it's going to be, what you can expect from the program. But do remember, we have our free 3-day summit in October 10th to 12th, dream-analysis.com/free summit. That'll take you there. And we look forward to seeing you next week.